Good morning. So you're joining me this morning on a walk not too far from my front doorstep. So I've parked at the Robin Hood pub off the A619, which isn't far away from Chatsworth House. And I'm walking up Birchen Edge, then to Eagle Stone, and then up White Edge on Big Moor towards the Longshore Estate. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the walk, and I hope I can show you some nice things along the way. So behind me you can see Nelson's Monument. So this is at the top of Birchen Edge. It was erected in 1810, which is 5 years after Lord Nelson passed away. But it's not just the monument that signifies Nelson's life and I suppose achievements. The other side are three big rocks which have three names of his ships carved into them. So there's the HMS Victory, which Nelson passed away on. There's the Defiance, and there's also the Royal Sovereign. It makes perfect sense to have the names of three ships carved into rocks as far away from the sea as it's possible to be. But either way, here they are. So currently sheltering a herd of cows. So I'm not sure what Nelson would have thought about that, but they're making use of them. So moving towards Baslow Edge now, and behind me is Wellington Monument. So this was built 5 years after Nelson's Monument, which we saw earlier. So this was built in 1815 by a military man, whose name escapes me. But he felt that Nelson shouldn't get all the glory, so to commemorate the Battle of Waterloo and everything Wellington did in there, he commissioned this, and this was built. So just a short distance away from Wellington's Monument is the Eagle Stone, which you can see behind me now. So the story is that in days gone by, and maybe days now, I don't know, but the young men of Baslow, a village not far from here, would have to climb this rock behind me before they're allowed to get married, which looks quite tricky, to be honest, looking at it. But I mean, it must have happened a few times, because there'll have been a fair few marriages, I'm fairly sure. So this down here is Kerber Gap. Absolutely stunning. So I've just come through Kerber Gap car park, which is a very, very popular place to be. So the one thing that I really love about this area of the Peak District is how accessible it is. So the walk I've done so far is about 3 miles, and already I've parked in one public car park, walked past another. So an area that's so beautiful, so full of nature and things that need to be preserved. It's so accessible by so many people, which hopefully will give people more of an idea of why we need to preserve the things that we're preserving. But of course, because it's so accessible, it gets very busy. So it is a case, especially up here, of the early bird gets the spot. But we're walking away from Kerber Edge, which is where most people visit from this car park, and we're making our way towards White Edge, which is a little bit higher up, onto a large expanse known as Big Moor. So behind me you can see the trig point, which marks 365 metres, which is almost the highest point on White Edge. So we're here on Big Moor, which, as you can see from here, looks to be quite a barren, out of the way place, and it's all very peaceful as well, which is lovely. But it turns out that right now we are less than 10 miles from Sheffield city centre, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it. I believe it's over that way. It's a beautiful area. Apparently there's a herd of wild red deer that live on here, and I managed to spot one way far into the moor, so I'm hoping that we'll come across some more soon, but I make no promises. It'd be lovely if we could see some though, wouldn't it? I don't know if I'm going to be able to get any closer than this. Please excuse the bad quality of the camera. That right there is a red deer stag. He's got 3 does with him. I don't think I'll press too much further towards him. The last thing I want to do is spook him. So I've come a bit further away than I'd originally intended. So I wanted to show you this behind me. It doesn't look like much, but this is the Herkling Stone. Now this rock marks the boundary of 3 different parishes, and in the medieval times, going all the way through the Tudors and past, there was a tradition, a perambulation it was called, where people would walk the boundary of their parishes. So that stone there, at one point, held quite a bit of significance, because it, well, as I say, the boundary of 3 parishes, all 3 ended up at that stone. So it also had a use, not just for marking out boundaries, but it used to be a meeting place for shepherds. Because up here you won't really grow a deal, but be an ideal place to have your sheep. So yeah, just thought that might be of some form of interest. So I've made the decision to deviate from my original plan, which is the wonderful thing when travelling with a map and compass, because you can pretty much go where you want. So instead of going back the way I'd intended over White Edge, I've decided I'm making my way down towards the Grouse Inn, which is just off the Longshore Estate, and then I'm going to carry on along Froggatt Edge and Kerber Edge back to where I parked the car. Rude not to. So here we are on Froggatt Edge. The valley behind me carved out by the River Derwent. So I've been up here a few times and always find climbers up here. Some tremendous gritstone rocks which you can see behind me, and of course the edge itself is gritstone as well, which attracts climbers from all over the place. So I always like it on a walk when you can look back and see where you've been. I mean, it just gives a sense of achievement for myself. But over there is White Edge, which is where we were walking earlier. So yeah, as I say, it's always nice to look back and see where you've been. Now here we are on Kerber Edge, so just continuing along the same footpath. You can see Kerber in the background in the valley. A couple of biplanes flying over the Derwent Valley. That's something you see every day. So I think I'm about 3/4 of my way through my walk at the moment. Just past Kerber Gap car park, and now I'm making a steady way towards the Eagle Stone. So going back the way I came, which is nice. So I've just passed Nelson's Monument and his 3 ships, which means that I'm in the last mile now of today's walk. So I reckon it'll work out at about 13 miles all included. So it's been a nice one today, not particularly up and down, just a nice steady amble. So yeah, as with all YouTube videos, at the end, please don't forget to rate, review and subscribe. And until next time, be walking, guys.